EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Martich here with your outlook for the weekend, January 12th and 13th, 2019. For your Saturday, expecting increasing clouds across the region ahead of this system, which parts of it will affect our region come the evening and overnight. But the system itself is not going to be affecting us directly. We're going to have this area low pressure around noon on Saturday, right about here over Arkansas, and it's going to be making its way on an eastwardly path, maybe just a little bit north of east, and it's going to exit right along the Carolina coastline like this. So it's heading on a pretty direct path that way. It is not coming up north. It's not going to do one of these numbers that come up the coast here and give us a big snowstorm. There's no chance of this. There's no amplification, so it's going to remain flat and slide out to sea. But what's going to get us, when give us a little bit of snow overnight, is this area of precipitation right here. And this is what it's expected to look like as we get to noon on Saturday. If we go over to the latest radar, you can see this looks quite impressive. So we can see that it's actually there, and that moisture plume is going to be extending eastward, but it's going to be kind of falling apart as it moves eastward because it's running into some dry air and confluence, and as it gets closer to our region, it's really going to kind of fall apart. But we will have some light snow out of that, and the areas further to the southwest are going to get into that. So this does look pretty impressive on radar this evening, but there's nothing that wasn't expected. As you can see that, as it's moving eastward, it's expected to continue to maintain for a little bit through the Ohio Valley. But once you look what happens in the next frame here, once we get to Saturday evening, those greens are disappearing. You just have some dark grays here, which is, of course, the lighter color on the scale here. So it's not quite as organized, but and the system itself is still over western Tennessee by the time we are getting snow in our region on Saturday evening. So I do think it comes in, maybe southwestern areas get it as early as late afternoon, but I think mostly an evening area from southwest to northeast. We'll get into the action, but there's going to be a limit to how far to northeast it goes because you have high pressure sitting up here. You have some confluence that's sitting up here, so dry air is going to limit how far north this can get, and that's probably the northernmost extent of how it goes because you have so much dry air working against this coming to the system. It's cold air, but it's also drying us out quite a bit. So because of that confluence zone just north, there's a limit to how far north that precipitation goes, and it's already light to begin with at this point. And you can see that by the grays that are indicated here on this particular image, which is Saturday evening. And then once we go into later in the overnight, the southern areas will still stay into the snow, but then it will, as this system finally exits the coast here by the time we get to Sunday morning, might have a glancing blow here to extreme southern tip of New Jersey, and I'm talking extreme southern New Jersey down by Cape May and maybe southern Atlantic County, Cumberland County down here in New Jersey, and the southern two-thirds of Delaware. Might get a parting shot on the way out where you get a little bit of snow right before it ends, and that will end right in the early afternoon and even in those areas. But elsewhere, we're just dealing with a Saturday evening and overnight deal. That's it, and it's just a very light snow, and again, it's going to be very limited how far north you can get because of that confluence. So if you looked at our map on the weather alerts page, it's not that aggressive for areas too far north for that reason. But here's the new NAM that came in this evening. This is the 0Z NAM, and this is looking at 5 p.m. on Saturday. You can see some snow starting to work its way in from the southwest at this point, moving very slowly to the northeast, but it's going to take its time doing so. Here's a look at 10 p.m., and we're starting to, by the time we get to midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning, it's snowing out at Harrisburg and out by my buddy here, and it runs the Lebanon County weather page, Justin Snyder. He lives right there in Lebanon. If you have a great guy, if you live in that area, be sure to give him a follow. If you live in the lower Susquehanna Valley, very good. We collaborate on ideas a lot of times. This area of snow is going to be very hard pressed to make it east. We see it's the defined line here on the northern edge here. That's because it's running into that dry air, and there might even be what we call virga, which is snow falling from the sky and not reaching the ground because it's going to be so dry. The dew points up in here are going to be really dry on that northern edge. So we did extend it a little bit further north today, all the way up to maybe another county north of where we did yesterday, but the new NAM's indicating that the edge might be more somewhere like in here. It might run right through Schuylkill County, right through the Lehigh Valley, and all the way down into here, or something like this. Nobody north of that line gets anything but maybe a few flakes. So it's very possible. We're also have to watch these wild card areas in South Jersey and Delaware. I think you might get that parting shot here. So these areas right in here that I'm circling are going to get likely get around that 4-inch mark, maybe even a little bit more than that, especially down here in southern Delaware. I think you can get squeeze out 5 inches, or maybe even 6 before this gets out of here. All right, so that's that. This is 1 o'clock in the morning, but after we get to that past this point, you can see it starts to shift eastward. Here's 3 a.m., here is 4, here is 5, here is 6, here is 7 o'clock in the morning. Starting to wind down here in Pennsylvania, still going down here on the shore. And you see the dark blues down here, down by Cape May, down in southern Delaware. This is where you get that parting shot here and maybe exceed 4 inches in those places there. But then this goes into late morning and then finally pulls out right around noon, even in those areas where it's just cuts off here at that point. That's out of our region here at that point. So nothing to worry about beyond that. Here's the new NAM snowfall map, very similar to our snow map ideas. Now the interior looks like you have barely the lightest color of gray here. Like I said, runs right through, right through from northern Center County down here through by Knoebels and over to northern Schuylkill County, down through the Lehigh Valley and into central New Jersey. That's your cutoff line where it's not producing anything north of that line. So it's a little bit further south than we had on our map, and if we have to make that adjustment on Saturday morning, we will. But as of now, we have it a little bit higher than that, all the way up to about here. But it's still close enough. I mean, somebody here is going to still get at least a coating out of it. That's not worried about that. This is a high ratio snowfall in here, so even though it's showing 1 to 2 inches, you have to multiply this by 1.5. So it's more like a, these areas down here that are showing 2 or 3 could end up being 3 or 4 because of those higher snow ratios. And I still think the best snow is going to end up down south over northern Virginia, parts of Maryland, and of course Delaware, and an extreme southern tip of New Jersey on the way out. So I do think that is still consistent with our map that we have out. And if we do have to change anything, I think it's going to be dealing with that northern fringe on Saturday morning. But we'll see how that works out with the rest of the overnight guidance coming in. After this system moves out, we will have a decrease in clouds late in the day for the interiors on Sunday. So I don't think it's going to be an all-day thing. You're going to have improving skies here later in the day on Sunday. Probably stays cloudy all the way closest to the short points. You don't really see the sun here on Sunday. But it remains cold Sunday, and then we are also cold Monday. Maybe a little bit warmer, but not much. Here's mostly sunny skies Monday. Same thing here on Tuesday, mostly sunny, but we're going to moderate a little bit. Temperatures are going to increase because we have a front coming, and out ahead of that frontal boundary, we're going to have the winds changing direction, getting the temperatures up to about the 40-degree mark, either side of 40 degrees here on Tuesday, and the same thing is going to hold for Wednesday. Here's that frontal boundary coming in that is going to usher in some more, or like a reinforcing shot of cold air. No precipitation with it. It doesn't look like the area low pressure is way up here in Canada. So it moves through in the overnight hours on Wednesday night. Kind of comes through unabated. No precipitation with it during the overnight, just kind of falls apart. But we do have the front itself come through in the colder air. High pressure builds in for Thursday. We have another partly to mostly sunny skies day. A little weak wave at the end of the week could produce some light rain or snow showers depending on where you are. This does not look like a big deal at all. See the light grays again. Not a real big deal here, and it looks like the far north could get into some snow showers out of this, maybe just an isolated shower further south. But again, this does not look like a big deal. It's pretty much in and out of here. And then we're going to turn our attention to another system that could come in late in the weekend. That's going to be way out here. Some models are indicating that there could be a larger system, and we could be dealing with rain and or snow. Could be all snow, could be mostly rain and changing to snow. One of the two seems most likely at this point, but we're talking way out here now to January 20th, which is our expected pattern change date that we have well advertised for the last couple of weeks. That is still on track. If you looked at yesterday's long-range outlook, and if you didn't, it's on the Facebook page that we linked to. But that is the day we change things around. We get in a sustained cold and snowy pattern going forward from that point. So we're going to be quite busy, it looks like, as we go forward into the rest of January and all of February. I'm EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Martrich. That is your outlook for January 12th and 13th, 2019. The weekend outlook. Have a great Saturday and Sunday.